Hello everybody, my name is Flauge, or so I've been told. And this video marks the start of a brand new series for my channel with the goal of teaching you how to become a better killer player in Dead by Daylight. I know a lot of new players are picking up the game right now, and let's be honest, killer can be pretty intimidating at first. The goal for this series is to help bridge that gap and to get you more comfortable with all the killer systems, strategies, and the mindset of the killer role faster than just trial and error. Here's how this series will work. This episode is all about the basics, introducing you to core mechanics, key concepts, and some general advice just to get you started on the right foot. From there, we'll dive into killer micro, things like how to chase more efficiently and when to use your power during a chase, and killer macro, like how to predict survivor movements, manage gen spreads, and control the trial. I'll also be making beginner guides for every single killer, covering their powers, some starter builds, and pointing you to great content creators who specialize in them if you want to go even deeper on a specific killer. With all that out of the way, let's get started. Now, before we dive into the meat and potatoes of this video, I want to lay out a quick but important disclaimer, especially for new players. Dead by Daylight can get to be a pretty toxic game at times. It's competitive by nature, and unfortunately, that sometimes brings out the worst in people. No matter how you engage with the game, whether it's here on YouTube, over on Reddit or Twitter, or even just in the Endgame chat, you will run into toxic players. People who are just out to be rude, hurtful, or just plain mean. It's not a question of if, but a question of when. And when you do run into these players, please remember this. They do not speak for us. There are plenty of people in this community who are kind, helpful, and genuinely excited to have you here. We want you to play, learn, and enjoy the game just like we do. Don't let a loud, negative minority push you away from the fog. If someone crosses the line, use the block and report functions. They're there for a reason. You should never feel bad about protecting your experience. Play how you like, learn at your own pace, and don't let anyone else make you feel small for it. Now, without any further ado, for real this time, let's talk about how to get started. First and foremost, I highly recommend you complete the entire tutorial. That includes the killer tutorial, survivor tutorial, and the two practice modes, survive with bots and kill the bots. I know it can be really tempting to skip the tutorials and just jump straight into live matches, but seriously, take your time with them. Soak it all in, finish each one fully. Not only will you unlock a few free cosmetic items, but more importantly, you'll get 200,000 blood points just for completing them. That's a massive boost to help you get started, letting you buy perks, add-ons, and offerings before your first real trial. But before you spend those blood points, there's one more thing I want you to check out. Up at the top of the tutorial screen, there's a tab labeled Game Manual. This thing is basically the DBD Beginner's Bible. It's broken down into 3 different sections: the game, the survivors, the killers. It doesn't take long to read, and I promise it is worth it. It covers dozens of mechanics that the tutorial completely skips. Like, for example, the fact that you can hold down the attack button for a lunge attack. This is something that the tutorial just glazes over, but it's here in the manual. Reading through this manual will put you ahead of players with hundreds of hours. No joke, I didn't read this thing until I had well over 700 hours, and I still learned new things from it. So please, do yourself a favor, give yourself some time to read it. It's a very small investment that plays off big in the long run. Once you've completed the tutorial and read the manual, it's time to spend those blood points and start preparing for live matches. Now, contrary to what you may expect me to say, I actually recommend that new players start by playing as survivor, even if you eventually want to play and main killer. This is for a few reasons. Firstly, survivors are under less pressure overall. As a survivor, your time is just inherently less valuable in the trial than a killer's time. I'll explain this concept in detail in my killer macro video, but the short version is survivors can afford to make more mistakes and still have a good match. Second, it's much easier to learn the maps as a survivor. You have a wider field of view, more breathing room, and more time to explore. The early map knowledge will pay dividends once you switch to killer. And finally, playing survivor first helps you get inside the mind of your opponents. Once you understand how survivors think, what they're trying to do, and where they're likely to be and run, you'll be a much more effective killer. With that in mind, I highly recommend spending your 200,000 blood points on a survivor first. Survivors are all functionally the same, being more or less skins of one another, but they each start with 3 unique perks. These perks can later be unlocked on other characters once you've prestiged them. Take your time and read through the perk descriptions of the survivors you start out with, and pick a survivor whose perks sound fun or interesting to you. Personally, I recommend starting with Meg Thomas. Her 3 unique perks, Quick and Quiet, Sprint Burst, and Adrenaline, are all excellent perks, especially for beginners. But if you're thinking of spending a little money early on, Feng Ming with Lithe, Kate Denson with Windows of Opportunity, or Zarina Kassir with Off the Record are also really strong options. Once you've picked a survivor, focus your blood points on leveling that specific survivor up. At level 50, you'll get the option to prestige them. Doing so unlocks their unique perks in the blood webs of all your other characters. This is why it's so important to prestige strong characters early on. It makes the rest of your roster strong as well. Once you've finished spending your blood points, you'll also be able to equip up to 4 perks, an item, 2 add-ons for that item, and an offering. Feel free to experiment with your loadout and try different combinations. I personally recommend starting with a medkit or a toolbox just because they're really strong, but don't be afraid to test out other options. Once your loadout is ready and your blood points are spent, you're good to go. Once you're inside your first match, your goal as a survivor is to work with your team to repair 5 of the 7 generators around the map, open 1 of the 2 exit gates, and escape. The killer's objective is the opposite. Hunt down and eliminate all 4 survivors. They do this by hitting you, downing you, and placing you on a sacrificial hook. After 3 hook states, you are removed from the game. Sounds pretty straightforward, but perks, items, killer powers, maps, and their layouts, they can all dramatically change how each match plays out. In general, the community sees performance the following way. 0 to 1 kills is a loss for the killer. 2 kills is a tie, and 3 to 4 kills is a win for the killer. But understand that these goalposts are arbitrary. You get to decide what winning is for you in the context of the match that you're playing. And just starting out, learning is winning. There are hundreds of perks, dozens of killers, and tons of map variants. At the start, your goal isn't going to be escaping or killing, it's learning. If every match teaches you something new or helps you improve just a little bit, you're winning, no matter the outcome. That said, there are a few common killer strategies that you should be aware of as a new player. I'll break all of these down in further detail in a future video. But the first one to mention is tunneling. This is when a killer focuses hard on one specific survivor, usually the first one they down, and keeps targeting them until they're completely eliminated. This creates a 1v3 situation which heavily favors the killer. While it can be frustrating, it's a valid strategy with its own risks and counters. The next strategy is slugging. Slugging is when a killer downs a survivor but doesn't pick them up right away. Maybe another survivor is nearby, or maybe the killer wants to try and pressure the team by getting another down. Slugging can buy time and cause chaos, and even lead to a full team wipe if it's not handled correctly. It's a high risk, high reward strategy. And last is 3-genning. This is a more strategic approach where the killer defends 3 nearby generators in the late game, forcing the survivors to come to them. These generators can be extremely difficult to finish without coordination, specific perks, or a solid understanding of breaking 3-gens. Some people complain about these tactics, but none of these strategies on their own are toxic. This is a competitive game, and these strategies help killers win games. They're tools. Knowing what they are and how to counter them is part of getting better. One final thing to keep in mind is something called looping. It's the core of survivor gameplay during chases. It's all about using the environment with things like windows and pallets, rocks and walls to extend a chase and waste a killer's time. Don't worry if you're not good at it right away, it's a skill that comes with time, and I'll cover the basics of how it works in the killer micro video. For now, just try to stay calm in chase and keep moving. In your early games, you're probably going to find that you feel very much outclassed by your opponents, and probably unsure as to what you should be doing or where you should be going. This is okay and completely normal, expected even. It would be easy for me to tell you to just stay busy and you'll do fine. But that isn't always easy if you're unfamiliar with a map or a particular killer. You don't have to always be productive or efficient or optimal. What matters is being willing to engage. You'll learn much more by doing rather than waiting until you feel ready. Whether you're playing survivor or killer, don't be afraid to do something you're not good at. If you're unfamiliar with chase, don't be afraid to seek it out. You may only last 15 or 30 seconds, but you'll probably have learned something in the process, either about the map, the tiles, the killer's power. You learn more from failing than succeeding, and it's okay to be bad at something before you get to be good at it. Your mindset is what will keep this game fun and preventing frustration in the long term. Even if you die early or feel like you didn't do that much, you still earn blood points. And the more you participate in different parts of the trial, the more you'll earn. So every action is progress, even if the scoreboard doesn't show it yet. While yes, the game is competitive in nature, it's still just a game. So just be sure to enjoy yourself. This game is almost 10 years old, so there's plenty to learn and to know. Don't overwhelm yourself trying to learn it all and perfect everything. The best way to learn is at your own pace. A good place to start is the leaderboard at the end of every match. It shows what everybody brought to the trial. Perks, items, add-ons, offerings, all in one place. I encourage you to hover over each of them, read the descriptions. Think of the scoreboard as a free learning tool. You'll start to notice trends, what perks show up together, what killers use what add-ons, and that'll give you ideas to try yourself. This is also where you're going to find the endgame chat. You should always say GG, it's just good manners. If someone made a good play or did something cool or funny, let them know that you saw it and appreciated it. DBD can feel intense, but it's also full of players who love the game just like you do. The more goodwill you spread, the better your own experience will be, and that kindness pays off in the long run. Once you've spent some time playing Survivor and maybe even prestiged a character or two, you're probably starting to feel ready to give Killer a shot. Killer is a completely different kind of gameplay. It's still Dead by Daylight at its core, but the way you think about everything, pressure, timing, map control, mind games, it all shifts dramatically when you're in the other role. To help ease the transition and build good habits, I recommend starting with the Wraith or the Huntress. If you're open to spending money on a licensed killer, the Nemesis is also a fantastic choice with excellent chase fundamentals and a strong mid-range attack. The Wraith encourages a hit-and-run kind of playstyle that rewards map awareness and prediction skills you may have started building naturally by playing Survivor. The Huntress is one of the most popular killers in the game, and for good reason. Her power is simple, fun, and full of potential for skill expression and flashy moments. The Nemesis offers a strong mid-range chase tool that rewards you the more you use it, as well as some passive map pressure in his zombies. Both of these will help you develop a good understanding of chase mechanics and map rotations. Any one of these killers can help you start thinking like a killer player and developing your own style. No matter who you end up picking, make sure you take a few moments to read their power description, learn how their unique perks work, explore their add-ons and see how they change or enhance their abilities. Add-ons are one of the most fun and creative parts of killer gameplay. Many can completely shift how you play or offer weird and surprising advantages. So don't be afraid to experiment with them. Some of the most interesting and fun builds come from trying out something unusual or that you may not have otherwise tried in the first place. Well, that's going to do it for this video on the basics. I know we've gone over a lot, like where to start, how to build your loadout, where to prioritize your early blood point spending, what to expect when you first step into a trial, how to approach early matches without getting overwhelmed, how to reflect on games in the post-match screen. Most importantly, we talked about the value of simply showing up, experimenting and learning through experience, because it's how you grow as both a killer and a player overall. We also looked at a few beginner-friendly killers like the Wraith, the Huntress, the Nemesis, killers to help you start developing strong fundamentals and get a feel for how killer gameplay works. The bulk of what we've covered in this video is getting familiar and comfortable with Dead by Daylight's systems, what you're doing in the moment, how to progress, and what to focus on. In the next video, we're going to zoom out on the gameplay. I'll show you how to manage the trial as a whole, how and where to apply pressure, control the map, knowing when it's time to chase and when it's time to leave, and make decisions that affect all 4 survivors at once. That's macro gameplay, and mastering it is what separates decent killers from great ones. If you found the video helpful, be sure to check out the rest of HTK, and if you have any questions or feedback, or just want to share your early experiences, drop a comment. I'm always happy to respond, and I'd especially love to hear who your first killer main ends up being. Until then, good luck in the fog, and remember, progress is better than perfection.
Prepare to become something better.